Hello and welcome back to the Nordic Takedown podcast. You are listening to episode 69, the nice episode. And today we have a good one for you. We're going to talk about the Moss PQ in Norway and a little bit more about the set for meta. But first, my co host Victor, how are you?
I'm so fine. I've been on a couple of times now in a row, so this feels so good.
Great. And today we're not alone. We have the pleasure of having the Norwegian champion of set 4, Kostas, the winner of Moss PQ. Welcome.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm very happy to be here. Hello, guys. Hello, everyone listening.
Nice to have you. And of course, we will very quickly get to know you a little bit. But first, as I said, we will talk about Moss PQ. It was 21st of June. Both I and Kostas attended. And Victor streamed.
I did.
Yeah, so you will have a lot of cool stuff to tell us, even because we've been in our tunnel vision just going from game to game. So that's going to be good. And then lastly, we will take a little bit of a broader look because the PQ season is kind of finishing now. Are there some more next weekend or?
There are in the US and in mainland Europe, but for us up here in the north, Norway was the last one out, and
Yeah.
we are sort of wrapping up our season here. I think maybe
Yeah.
there's a store showdown or something like that left, but
Yeah. So we can all agree we have had a really, really nice meta after the Django ban. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Yeah,
Best it's ever
but
been.
without further ado, Kostas, great to have you on. We have played a lot now in the Oslo community, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the game, and if you played any other TCGs before?
Yes, of course. I have been playing card games for about 10 years now. Started with Vanguard, if you guys know it. Then played a couple of years of that. Moved on into Dragon Ball, which is now known as Dragon Ball Masters, since they have released a new game. And funny enough, I might not have started Star Wars if Dragon Ball Fusion World came to Norway sooner, but I'm happy that I did, and that I did not move on to another game
Yeah,
because it was a franchise that my partner, my girlfriend was also interested in, and
yeah,
so it started pretty chill actually. Not with a competitive vibe, but as time moved on, I really got into it and decided to do as well as I can.
yeah. And it's been a pleasure and a pain having you around, going to the Oslo tournaments and always getting knocked out by you. It's like a ever uphill climb, when you're playing against Palpatine and you're pushing the rock up, and then 8 resources, it rolls back down.
I think
But
someone in the comment section said it. Costas has been keeping us mid-range players honest since set 2 or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, I have been on Palpatine since early set 2 because I did not have all the appropriate cards to play in set 1, even though I wanted to. So I
Mhm.
moved on. I moved on from Vader to Palpatine and have pretty much tried him with every possible aspect combination.
Yeah, yeah. But always a pleasure meeting you on weeklies and so forth. But I want to know Star Wars. I think I heard a story when you first went to the release, and there was not much at the store, right? But I think you met someone there.
Yes, I did. So I was not at the time. I was not aware that other stores were having pre-releases as well. Only the Outland one was advertised, like to me, the one that popped up. So I am there. I am the very first one, doubting if anyone else is going to come. Sitting there with my laptop playing other games, and then a British guy shows up, asks about pre-release, and there you have it. There I met Alan. I'm not sure about the dates of the other pre-releases, but I'm it's pretty safe to say that Alan and I are the OGs in the Oslo area, in the
Nice.
central Oslo area,
Yeah.
when it comes to Star Wars. And Alan is another amazing player who did fantastic at the previous PQ, and always shows up with very unique deck lists and brews.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice story. And I um, met Alan, I think, the day after at Midgard Games, where the last PQ was in Oslo. So really cool that the community grew as fast as it did. We got the Discord out, and could you maybe tell us a little bit more how it is to play in Oslo?
It's pretty amazing for me. I like how, even though we are a relatively small community, I wouldn't say too small though. It can be anywhere from 15 to 20 something people, depending on the day in the tournament. But I would like to say that even though it's a mid-sized community, it can be both very competitive and at the same time chill. Like
Yeah,
everybody knows their stuff, plays really well, but is really cool about it.
yeah,
So it's a combination that you do not often find. Like either
mm,
people are sometimes competitive and toxic, or they're
yeah,
chill and don't really care. So I like
yeah,
the balance that we have in the Oslo community.
yeah. That sounds really good, and I'm looking forward to attend more now that I'm moving to Oslo. But let's get back on track, because maybe before we talk about your experience about in the Moss PQ and that whole thing, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your adventure with Palpatine as a deck.
Okay, so what can I say? I do love ramp decks. I
Yeah,
like playing the biggest, baddest leaders of the game, and I am not a big fan of aggro. I
yeah.
do like to drag the game on a bit, get to that 8, 10, 12 resources, because if you finish your game in 10 minutes, are you really that much into your game?
Yeah.
So I think it was a play style that really suited me.
Hmm.
The soft control that Palpatine is, because I don't like to go into those stages of the game where I have to mill the other guy out or play hard control without playing any units. So I
Yeah.
think that Palpatine has, at this stage, a unique type of play style that really suits me personally, like a
Hmm.
soft control that still tries to kill you and not mill
Yeah.
you out. So I think that's why it's my favorite deck, because it's kind of unique right now in the meta.
Yeah. Good. Victor, do you have any experience with that?
I actually did play Palpatine in Malmö Game Week last year,
Yeah.
but I'm not very experienced with him. Really, there was a Palpatine showcase on the line, so I thought I must play. I had been playing Kira a lot in set two back then, and so I switched and played Blue Palp instead. I thought it was basically my Kira deck. I just switched base
Yeah.
and leader for the fun of it, and it didn't turn out that great since I'm not very good at playing Palpatine, and so I'm essentially the opposite. I'm more of a fast tempo mid range player
Mm.
at heart. And you brought one of my like pet peeve decks for this set. You brought
Yes.
the Sabine Data Vault deck, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll get a bit more into it
We'll talk
soon,
more
but
about
it
that.
was a pleasure playing that deck.
Yeah.
Truly amazing.
Have you tried Palpatine?
Not in not with real cards.
Uh,
Only like very early in the game, where I played mostly online, trying out stuff in set one, I think, and a little bit in set two. Blue Palp was something I tested. I remember on before I joined the podcast, or while I still had a few YouTube videos on my private channel, looked into it. And it was quite fun. But Kostas, I want to know, you play the yellow Palpatine now, but you've experimented a little bit with other aspects as well. right?
Yes, I have actually even experimented a little bit with Lake Country Palpatine,
Oh,
but I would say that yellow is by far my favorite because
yeah,
it offers a unique kind of tempo control play style.
yeah,
I was a big fan of double green. I would love for double green to be competitive, but it's just not quite there yet. Although he did get a PQ, PQ of 58 people, I believe,
wow,
last week. So kudos to that guy
It
or
was a
girl,
data
whoever
vault deck, right?
data vault. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all in all, I think yellow is by far the most fun and the most competitive way to play Palpatine because if
that's
you
cool.
double into the other aspects, then if you go for blue, might as well just play Kira or another blue-green villain shell.
Yeah,
So for me, yellow is the only way to go right now.
yeah. And I do kind of like the way you play Palpatine in the, as you said, that you play so many units, and it's like you're of course trying to control, but as soon as you get Palpat, you're starting to be the beatdown almost, and really turn the game around. And with the blue version and maybe red also, I felt like there was just so much removal. It's not as interactive and fun with the units, I guess,
Right. So
or as with units.
I'm going for a bit more mid-range type of play, where I try to get units on the board, have them stick
Hmm.
around, do some damage, and then as long as I flip, then I'm the aggressive player
Yeah.
instead of just drawing out the game or removing units without doing much more.
Yeah.
So yeah, yellow all the way. Steal your girl, Palp.
Nice.
Yeah.
uh, a quick side note before we go into the Moss PQ. Kostas and I actually faced in Moss the week before in the final of the showdown. And I was playing my Lil deck, Han 1 green. I just came back from Trondheim, so I just picked up whatever I had. And I had to be like, what? Can I read that card? When Kostas played Moff Gideon. So it's cool to see that there's also some more aggressive kind of units, right?
That's
That can
the
be.
thing I meant to ask you about, actually, because when we were commentating, that's a card that we did see from Randomando in the Minneapolis uh,
Yeah.
RQ, it's called. Is that a tech that you came up independently on your own, or is it something you've seen in lists?
I had considered the card before, but I did get inspiration from Randomando, to truth be told, and credit where it's due. Uh, I had thought about the card, I just couldn't get the ratios right, so I did get a bit of inspiration from the patron saint of Palpatine
Oh,
Yellow.
yellow. Yeah.
And then I was lucky. I noticed that I was lucky enough to crack open two hyperspace Moff Gideons, and it was
Nice.
exactly the number that I wanted to play in the deck. So I just thought that the universe was giving me a sign that I
Right.
Yeah.
had to include them.
If ever you get a sign, that's the sign, right? Yep.
Yeah.
They
All
did.
right.
They were MVPs, I might add, both
Nice.
against aggro and control. Because even though you're swinging for base, which is something that usually Palpatine does not do, you mess up the aggro math
Mm.
with that Moff Gideon effect. It really came into play against one of my matches in the Moss PQ.
Cool.
So MVP card.
I bet.
All right. So on the topic of Moss, Victor, you streamed the whole thing.
Mm,
Um,
I
what was
did.
that like?
I mean, always when you sit down for a full day of streaming, it's like a bit of a marathon thing. You prepare and you get, like, for me, I make sure I have a bottle of like a cooling bottle of water. I make sure I have food I can eat, like prepare some sandwiches
Hmm.
in the refrigerator. It's a little bit of a ceremony to get myself, because once you start the recording, you do not get breaks. Not really. Like, you might have
Yeah.
5 minutes or something to run to the bathroom or so, but actual breaks. Whenever we go to the test screen, usually that means I have to fix something, fix the graphics, or pull another host in, or prep something. So you're stuck in front of the computer for a very long time usually when once you start streaming. So it's always a big thing, but the thing that makes it worth it, like I love watching Star Wars. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's something really cool. And when you are casting it, you get into the games. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's kind of like people would like to bet on games that they go watch because they want to have more stakes to it.
Yeah.
Same thing with casting. It's like you get stakes in the game in another
Mm.
way. You get more involved. You get it's even better. It's the same viewing experience but hyper. So
Yeah.
it's great. And then you get to interact with other people about the game. You have at least one co-host, and talking to other people about the game, like we are doing now,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite pastimes. I love talking about games. So interacting with people, pulling in people from like we're actually pulling people in from all over the world right now. I had Mark on from the UK. He did 3 games with me, and then I had Loopy come in. It's a US based player and content creator, and and he did the 3 final games with me. And it's just that's so amazing. I'm a bit old. You can see the gray in my beard. Like when I grew up, the idea that I could be live casting something from my apartment to the whole world together with people from other countries live from like watching and casting something that happened in another country like in Norway.
Yeah.
It's just sci-fi. I'm living in sci-fi and I'm loving it. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
So that's casting for me.
It's great to hear. Yeah. And was a big success.
Yeah,
A
I think so.
lot
We
of
had
people tuning in.
quite a lot of people viewing.
Yeah.
It wasn't our biggest draw yet, but it was certainly one of the bigger ones. I think at this tail end of the meta like this,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are interested to see like what it's the final meta like.
Mm.
And I think we have a reputation for producing good, sharp, both like image and commentary and good graphics. So I think a lot of people like watching our streams because they know they're quite high quality. So we do get a lot of viewers from all over the world
That's
watching our
great.
streams. Yeah.
And now going a bit more into what was streamed. We were
Yep.
33 players, but
Yeah.
I don't really know. It seemed like a very varied meta, but maybe you have a better overview than I do.
It was a very varied meta. Like the most played deck would be Vader 4, Vader 4 yellow, and that was only 4 decks out of 33. So
Yeah.
there's less, not a lot of the field.
Mm.
And then you had like Kira DV were 3 players, and all other decks were just 1-offs or 2-offs, and
Wow.
not that many 2-offs either. So it's a very varied meta. Of course, some leaders showed up in different versions, but like we had 4 Boba 4. I mean, that's really interesting. But
Yeah.
he's one of the more played leaders. But all 4 were playing different versions of Boba 4.
Oh.
So no, sorry, there were 2 Boba 4 DV,
Yeah.
which I think is the most stable version of it.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But then we had a Boba 4 Yellow and a Boba 4 Nabat Village.
Oh,
So
cool.
really different kinds of decks. We had some Hans, but also those were also different kinds. Like we had one Han 2 Data Vault and one Han 2 Blue. So this is with different decks all over. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Very like interesting choices. We had some outliers. We had a Form 4 player that almost made a success. He played for in the last round. And
Yeah.
that guy, he had only played the game for what, a month or something?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, talk about playing on hard mode. Like you just picked the game up
Yeah.
and you're not going for like something like Sabine or
When I
something
sat
that
down at the table facing him, I thought he was joking because he picked up Sabine and looked at her and like, what does this card do?
Yeah.
He had not seen the being leader
That's
before.
amazing. That's amazing. A person with that, with such shallow knowledge of the cards and the meta, to still have the like the card game fundamentals so strong
Yeah.
that you can get to play a hard deck,
Oh
Thrawn
yeah.
4 Data Vault, I think it was. Or was he? Yeah, he was the Thrawn
Yeah.
4 Data Vault. Like that's not an easy deck to
And it seemed
pilot.
like a original deck brew also. Like he had
I think
a lot
so.
of
At least
interesting cards in there.
there were a lot of cards I had to look up, and like even Mark had to look up most of the cards that were like weird ones. He recognized more than I did, but still,
Yeah.
So yeah, this was certainly not your regular meta,
Yeah.
the net decking. So kudos to this guy, Marco. I think his name was Marcus or
And
something like that.
Martin, I think.
Martin, yeah, really cool dude. We had him on stream twice,
Yeah.
and both of the games were fun. So yeah,
Nice.
like that. We had a GI.
Yeah.
We didn't get to stream it. I was really interested if we tried to get it on. But we
Yeah.
had the GI security company, it's like GI Blue. It's the I think that's the grit deck
Yeah.
where
Quite
you
aggressive.
collect your own units to get grit on them, which is cool. We had Lando 4, like the odd deck, the odd stack. Um, Land of 4 Data Vault, interesting enough. I've
What
mostly
is
seen him
Alan?
in yellow or with Lake Country, but this was a Data Vault version.
I
Are you
think
talking
you
about
might
Alan?
be confusing Han with Lando.
Oh, I am. I am.
Ah,
That is
Uh,
definitely that's Alan's deck.
but
Which
we did
again,
have
yeah, that was a Lando 4 deck. Yeah, exactly. Not a handful. And we had that one on stream.
yeah.
And Alan, he builds these decks.
Yeah.
That's his
Actually,
thing.
I have something fun, some insight from Alan. I heard that when he played on stream against Martin,
Mm.
he Martin, I don't think he had ever seen the Chewbacca card before. So when he played his Power of the Dark Side,
Mm.
Alan was like, "If you would play that card, I would probably
Yeah,
pick
you could see
this."
it.
So like trying to explain
Yeah,
that you don't want to do
yeah,
that,
yeah. He did,
and
and
at
and
PQ, that's
and
very very nice.
very nice. And he took back the action, and everything reverted. So that was very nice, and you could see like how they interacted, very friendly. I think that was the first game of the whole tournament, so it was very nice.
Yeah,
I
one
think
of the
it was
first
later
rounds.
on in the tournament. I'm pretty sure that Alan faced the Grand Inquisitor guy first
Yeah,
because I talked to him
Okay, all
during the
right. So it
tournament.
might have
So
been round 2 or 3.
it was even more cool of Alan to do that and be that friendly, cool guy in the competitive event. So
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
kudos to him.
Right. Yeah. But like I said, we had some really cool decks. We had some really interesting matchups. We had some games that were just nail biters. I
mm,
think the CAD your game Palpatine versus CAD Red, so CAD Talking Town. That game might have been one of the most exciting games I've ever streamed. It was
wow, thank you.
such a nail biter, and like especially the first game. The second game you won pretty handsily, but that first game, it was
I have to watch
so
that
good. And
back.
Pulp gets into that. That's not random for Pulp. Like you teetering on the brink of destruction, and you're starting to
Stabilize.
stabilize and take over,
Yeah,
but it takes a couple of rounds before you do, and every little heal you get, and that's where you really showcase your skill. Like that takes skill to maneuver it. The smallest little mistake there, we just you lose. It's that was really good, really cool.
And that's what I love about the deck, that it often just comes back from the dead, much like he did in the movies.
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow. But the Cad Bane deck, Jonathan,
Mm.
is also an amazing player, and he was my only loss in the tournament in the very first round of Swiss. So he did manage to beat me in the first round of Swiss. He plays very well.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, we've seen Jonathan do well in last PQ as well.
Yeah.
I think he might have traveled to something as well. I'm not
He
sure.
played in Stockholm last season, and
Yeah,
he won a showdown this season in Oslo. So he's been
yeah,
performing very well with Cat Bane Turkey Town.
yeah,
A deck I think will still be very relevant in the next set.
yeah,
True.
yeah. I think a lot of the decks that are strong right now, or at least teetering to on strong,
Yeah.
will not go anywhere. They're just getting more good cards to fill out the curves.
Yeah.
It's, yeah,
All right. So then maybe we'll talk a bit about my the deck I brought.
yeah. I mean, you brought our baby, or not mine really. It's our Danish friends Jonas and
Yes.
Stevo. But you kept pretty close to the original list, right?
Yes, I did. And this was actually a bit influenced by the fact that after Kostas and I played in the showdown, I took the night bus to Copenhagen and visited Steven. And I was a bit kind of done with Han 1 green. I had played it in Lille, and I was like, I'm going to play something new. Well, maybe I'll play the deck you guys brought. Maybe I'll just pick up Savine Data Vault. I had looked at the list before, of course, and it just looked really fun and powerful. And I felt like it's very underplayed and underrepresented. So I thought,
And whenever it is played, it does well.
so
So
I
it's
thought,
really weird that it's underplayed.
yeah, I thought if it's one deck that people might not expect and that's strong, I could try to pick that up. So while I was on vacation, I just played a couple of games online and felt like, okay, yeah, this is fun. I'll do that. And when
Yeah.
I was putting the deck together physically before the PQ, I looked at my binder and I saw, I have one copy of Planetary Bombardment. It's a planetary qualifier after all. I'll just put that in.
Makes sense.
Did you play it often?
No, sadly, I didn't get to play it once. But my big problem though with the day was since I went 4-0, I ID'd twice.
Oh yeah, I know.
And in hindsight, I'm a bit unhappy with it because I didn't get to play and it was just so fun playing.
Yeah.
The first ID was okay because then I was secured. Like I knew with 4 wins and 1 draw, I'm in. But the last round, I think I should have just
You
played
should
that.
have played.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even if you lose, you're in.
Yes. And if I won, maybe I wouldn't have faced. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe my standings would have
Yeah.
helped me get.
A better
But
matchup or
you never
something.
know about that stuff.
You
So
never know. You do. I'm really curious. Did you and Steve discuss any innovation to the deck?
no, not really. He had completely moved on after Lille to focus on set 5 because he is going to Vegas.
Yeah.
So they are just focusing on that. So basically, I just picked it up and did the changes myself. I did do some probably very controversial changes, which is to move 4 claws to the side.
Yeah.
And I'd never put it back in my games. I was actually happy with just having the champs instead in the main. And
So you basically just switched the pre-decking.
yeah, a little bit. And then I also added the planetary bombardment, as I said. And that's pretty much it of new cards.
Right?
Um,
Worth mentioning that you did pretty well actually in the tournament. You ended up in fifth. So
no. Oh, okay. Yeah, from the tiebreakers. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you lost your top 8 match, but you had the best, strongest
Yeah.
tiebreakers. So you came in fifth.
Yeah. I honestly just felt amazing with the deck. I looked around the tables, I played all my games, and there was not a single matchup where I felt like, oh, I'm not favored. Oh, this is gonna be hard. Like it just felt really nice playing that deck. And I beat Magnus 2-0 in Swiss, but in the top 8, I think I didn't play my best game 2, and the last game it was super close, and he had like the one card that I didn't anticipate to get exactly
that,
lethal, and
that
I was
mace
one
window.
damage off.
Yeah, yeah. If he didn't have that mace window,
Yeah.
you win.
Yeah.
Or another ambush unit, like any ambush unit wins him the game there. But
But I don't think so, because he needed the damage to kill me that round, because otherwise I kill him on initiative, right?
And in hand
yeah,
blue,
but I think he had standing enough. He just didn't have enough
No, he
actions.
needed the
You'd be
5 power
winning.
from Mace exactly
mm,
to kill me
Was
that
that the case?
phase.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. Because I
So even
thought
if he had the
you,
Luke to kill some of my
yeah.
units, or which he did, it wouldn't be enough because I would get the initiative because he had so many units out.
All right, yeah. Maybe he didn't have lethal on
I
board
think
then.
so. I haven't watched it
Yeah.
back, but that's kind of the
Mm.
feeling I
I
got.
think I
Yeah.
think you're right because I did watch the stream afterwards, and even if he did restore with Yoda, you would have had him in one action
Yeah.
uh,
Mm.
next turn. And in Han Blue, there are not that many units that ambush in contrast to Han Green or Han Daravold. So he did have the perfect card at the perfect timing, but
Yeah.
Magnus is also a very good player.
Yeah. So of
Yeah.
course, kudos to him. He played that top 8 game correct from what I saw, and deserved to go all the way to second place.
Yep.
But enough about my run. Kostas, you managed to win. And some would say, okay, you didn't face any Sabines, but some say, I played you today at locals and you beat me 2-0.
Who would that be? But in all seriousness, I was lucky to enough to dodge the Sabines. I think it was only three of them, so that was less than 10% of the total population there.
Yep.
So the numbers, the odds were on my side.
Yep.
Uh, then again, I think Sabine Daravolt I might be able to handle depending on the
Yeah.
draws. CL Sabine is what hurts the most.
Yep.
That's what I tried to sideboard for. I'm glad it did not come up. All in all, I faced a variety of decks. I
Yep.
would say it was pretty, it was pretty well spread out.
Yeah. You said you lost your first round to Jonathan, right?
hmm
And then how did it go from there?
He did. I did lose 2-1, so I won the first game, and it went as I thought it should. Then I lost horribly game 2 and 3. Then I went on to meet Vader Yellow, which, fun fact, it was my girlfriend playing. She had also lost her very first round. And even funnier than that, she actually did try to beat me. I don't know if she would have conceded to me in the end. That I cannot be certain of. But she did get game one, and I got the other two games. Then I moved on to face another hyper aggro deck in Kazura Double Yellow, which I was lucky enough to pull off. Took a first round play with Bazine, and they did not draw another one. So the game went smoothly
Yeah, that's pretty good.
after that. And round four, what was round four? Uh, I'm not sure about, I do not remember my round four in Swiss. No, I do. It was Matthias, Hantu Daravold.
Yeah.
It is a deck that I have myself practiced very much with. I did go to a showdown with it, got top 8. So I was very familiar with what the deck does, and I
Yep.
was able to play around that.
Mm.
And then I went on to face, sixth round of Swiss, or out of a total, no, fifth round of Swiss out of a total of 6, right?
Yep.
We did have 6 rounds of Swiss, yeah.
Yep.
So probably the hardest round that I won in my fifth round of Swiss
Yeah.
against Boba Ford Daravold.
Yeah.
Played against the son of Matthias, who played Hantu Daravold, Alvin, a young but very talented player in his own right.
We've seen him in Stockholm and other places as well, so he's a good player.
Yeah, so don't be fooled by his age. If you ever play against him,
Didn't
go
he
hard.
win a showdown with Luke or something?
I do not think he won a showdown, but I think he was like in the finals or top four. I'm not. I might be mistaken though,
Yeah,
but he has done very well in the
yeah.
local scene. And in the very in the very first game, I whiff on my first round plays, even after the mulligan, and I managed to come back from 29 damage on my base.
Ooh,
Did win that game, coming back from 29 damage, healed all the way back to 12 before.
damn.
But he almost had me. Second game went a bit more smoothly. I think it has to do with Data Vault being 60 cards and him not drawing the burn damage that he needed to finish me off.
Yeah.
So Data Vault is a double-edged sword,
Oh
I would
yeah.
say.
I feel like a lot of players are kind of baited by the fact that it's so popular. They see the net decks and they don't even consider playing the 30.
Mhm.
When some lists could benefit from it when you need exact cards to really get the power of the leader.
I honestly believe I would have lost that first game if he was running the 30 HP regular green base, because he would have drawn into that Ruthless Raider or Devastator or maybe a Daring Raid to finish me off at 29 damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
After that, I did
Yep.
with Jakob. Am I pronouncing the name
Yeah, no,
correctly?
Yep.
Which I then went to face off in my very first match of the top eight. So that was the Swiss, one loss and one draw. Pretty happy with it overall. Can't complain.
But I was kind of surprised that you won 2-0 against it, Jacob, right?
Yes, I did. I was both of those games. I was lucky enough to get my Bazines going. I believe I played two of them in the first game and three of them in our second one,
Yeah.
sniping the Vigilances and Super Laser Blasts. And then I was also lucky enough, or at least the game drew on long enough so that I could draw into the one sneak attack that I ran, which was the deciding card in both games, because
Yeah.
often the hard control players take initiative in order to wipe your board or remove your big unit, and then you can sneak attack in for the victory. That's what I love about yellow. It can be unpredictable.
Yeah.
He played really well, and I made the one misplay that might have cost me the game. I beat myself over it, even though I did win. I flipped my Palpatine, stealing an Annihilator, which I forgot to kill with the on attack action. Next turn, he plays no glory only result, so that means he got to trigger his Annihilator twice on me, removing both my Vaders and my Mauls.
Ah, yeah, that's tough.
But all in all, I think Bazin and Sneak Attack were MVP in this matchup, and I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to draw them both.
Yeah. It sounds like you you played the matchup correctly and found the cards you needed. And then top four, it was the CAD game, right?
That was stressful. Game game one was quite stressful. I did manage to come back from the dead. It does help that we get open deck lists in the top eight, although
Yeah.
I'm not yet sure if I totally agree with it as a rule, but it did help memorizing that. For example, he ran only one surprise strike and two waylays.
Yeah.
So when I saw that one waylay had been played and the surprise strike had been played, I then knew that the statistics were with me when I played my Devastator and chose to kill Bazin instead of the Ruthless Raider, for example, because he runs three hotshot blasters but only one surprise strike, which he had already used.
I think that was absolutely the correct play, and that we even commentated on it. Like that's a pro move. That's very very much high skill. It would be so easy to go for the ship there because it's bigger, but it's it's absolutely the correct move there. It's so much harder to you can't really interact with the fact that he has a blaster. So you that was a pro play. I was really surprised that you saw it. We talked about it, and then you saw it and did it, and that was great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I had to at that moment. It was either the risk of a waylay or a hotshot blaster, but it was one waylay versus three hotshot blasters. So
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
And
thank you.
then you faced Magnus, which knocked me out. Playing Han 2 blue.
Yeah, that and that is a very strong deck in the meta. I just think that overall I have a much better matchup into Han Blue
Hmm.
than the other decks I played against. I will not say it was a breeze because it did require like some calculating on both me and Magnus's part.
Yeah,
I was afraid of the Crate Dragons,
yeah,
so I was really trying to either delay the flip or build a big board to the point that the Crate Dragon does not come into play as much.
yeah,
And I was lucky enough to get my Vaders going and my ramp going, and lucky enough to control the board to the point that I could be the aggressor.
yeah. I think the fact that Han wants to play a lot of damage units is pretty nice for you, but also just the mid range against soft control matchup is kind of nice. I remember I did not like to play against Palp when I played Han back in set two.
I think I think definitely your favorite in that matchup. Han 2 blue, especially the blue version, does have outs. It can win this game,
Yeah,
but it's not a favorite.
I think if you get some good pose out and you don't have no good to be dead, and maybe get some pillages into good force throws, like you can definitely tempo it out. But
Yeah.
I don't remember if Magnus played pillage.
No, not
Not
pillage.
sure.
I don't
Yeah,
think he did.
yeah,
I was not pillaged one time, but I was afraid of the force throws and the Crate Dragons. And when I looked at his hand with Bazine and saw that he had two Poe Damerons, I'm like, is it even worth to take out the Poe? Just
yeah,
take the K to a
Yeah,
soul.
absolutely correct play. He can only play one Poe anyway. So
yeah,
But
yeah,
Han can definitely, in both green and blue, go wide enough and hand control enough in the blue variant to win against Palpatine. It's just it's a bit of an uphill battle.
yeah,
Not unwinnable, but I'm the favored
yeah.
one.
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had it. The champion mat, the token, and the amazing prizes from Tabletop Battle.
They were fantastic. I think, no, I don't think. I'm sure that I've never once before in my life received as many prizes for winning a tournament. And I am so glad that I came with the deck that I did because last PQ I tried to like calculate the meta, try to win against Django's and Sabines, and went with Bosque Green. Did not do awful, got 12th place, I believe, but I regretted not playing my favorite leader just because I tried to make a meta call. So this time my thought process was nope, I will play what I like to play,
Yeah,
regardless of the meta and regardless how it goes. And it went quite well.
yeah,
But and as far as the pricing is concerned, like tabletop battle, they had amazing prizes.
yeah.
Like
I
not
think they
just value for money. It was it was off the charts.
I think they gave out around 10,000 Norwegian worth crowns in prizes. So that was really really good. You got a couple of displays, right?
I did get two displays of Jump to Light Speed, one display of Spark of Rebellion, three Carbonite booster packs, an extra wide game mat, the one with the gold leader, a
Nice.
binder, a lot of weeklies, the of course the playmat and the initiative token, and that's just off of the top of my head. Oh, and the Twin Suns deck pod.
Wow, those are
So
really nice
they
with the
are
special base, right? Or
yeah,
tokens.
well, mine was the white, so I got the special experience
Yeah,
token, but hey, can't complain.
nice.
Svain Eric and Tabletop Battle
Yeah,
really delivered.
Yeah.
Nice one.
So
It seemed to me the whole event was really smoothly run. Like we
yes.
had very little in terms of delays, and when there were delays, it was always because one game was actually taking a
Yeah.
bit longer or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think Ufdal,
Yeah.
what's this
Lasse.
called?
Losse.
Lasse, all right, yeah. Really good judge, easy to communicate
Yeah.
with throughout the whole thing, and from our end, it was extremely smooth.
Yes. Would have to say the same. Great success. No technical problems. No big judge drama or anything like that. And the tournament organizer and staff are super friendly. So definitely, if you're in Norway and you play Stars Unlimited, check out the store and attend an event.
Yeah, definitely. Either whichever store you pick, there is always a few people playing, and most of us have a couple of extra decks and willing to teach people how to play the game.
Mm. So yeah, I think their pre-release is set to be on the 5th of July at tabletop. So
I believe so. Unfortunately, I will not be here. I will be in Greece for vacation, but I
doesn't
will
sound too
catch a
bad
couple.
either.
No,
Exact doesn't sound too bad.
I will catch a couple of pre-releases there.
Yeah,
Ah, why
nice.
not? Why not? I think like you're onto something here because this is very much the end of the meta, like we discussed. And this was the last Scandinavian PQ of the season. So, how do you feel about this set, the meta we've had this set, and where it started and where it ended, and yeah, what's been the journey?
Personally, I think this is the healthiest meta that we've had in Star Wars Unlimited since the suspension of Django and Triple Dark Raid. I was I was in Milan playing my favorite deck, Palpatine Yellow. Was really happy going 3 and 0, and then I just started meeting Djangos and Han Yellows with DJs, and then I went sightseeing. Uh, But after that part, I think the meta has been very healthy. There's a lot of variety. There's even a few off meta decks winning PQs and showdowns here and there. So I can only hope that this continues into set 5. Like this type of meta, this variety, these vibes, it's the best the game has had so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it did start out the worst the game has ever had, and then it
Yes.
just by the flick of a
Switch.
broadcast, I guess,
Yeah.
they just turned it upside down and we got super wide meta.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
I,
how it's supposed to be.
I agree. It's amazing to see, like you said, Victor, that our PQ basically had not more than two of the same leader base combination. And you also see that if you go on websites like Zoo Competitive Hub, that like the leader based winner is very, very spread. And
Hmm. Of course, there
we,
are some that wins more than others, but it's not just the one thing. It's very much different things winning. And like after the Django suspension, everyone was talking about Quinlan. Like Quinlan's going to be dominant. Quinlan's going to be the one big thing coming up. And that has not been the case. He's
yeah,
absolutely up there in the mix. Like Quinlan Talkingtown is the fifth most winning leader base combination post suspension. But as a leader overall, he's all the way down in what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th place.
yeah,
So it's just a wide combination of different leaders and decks, and also funny enough, like if you look at the top five leaders, leader base combinations, you have one from Spark of Rebellion, Sabine, and you got two from Shadows with Kira and Ray, and then you got Quinlan in fifth place, and then you got Vader from GTL. So you got
yeah,
all four sets represented in the top five leader base combinations. I think that's pretty cool.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Agreed.
And then you've got my boy Palpatine coming in at 6th.
a sixth.
Just missing the top five, but it's okay.
Yeah. And actually beating out both Han Solo as coming in lower, which
Yeah,
has also been one of the leaders that
yeah,
one of the leaders that been sort of most talked about.
yeah. That's really cool. And I feel like we've also had the meta slowly develop a little bit. For instance, the rise of Vader 4
Mhm.
wasn't as popular in the beginning, but I feel like has seen more play. And yeah, I'm really curious to how this will change, because when you are theory crafting and looking at new cards, it's very easy to get hyper focused and like, oh, this seems so strong, this seems so good, this is going to be overrepresentative or something like that. But as soon as those things come out, people discover things to counter them. And
Yeah,
I do think we will see a pretty varied meta at the Galactic as well, but maybe a bit uh, overweight on the aggression aspect with force throws.
probably. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to look to include a force throw in the decks.
And then the second most played will probably be a blue villain leader with ECL running that new Vader.
Yeah,
Yeah, New Vader would probably have, especially like Kira decks, and I mean people might even try it in Palp Blue. It would work really well there as well. I
yeah,
think, even though he
Talzin.
doesn't normally play, yeah, even though Palp Blue doesn't normally play ECL, I think with timely interventions you can still do it.
Yeah, you can still. It would be if you played from the hand and not from the smuggle pile. It would be like playing your Vader at 7 resources. It would
Right.
require more, some better resource management, but it's definitely something I would be looking into. Although yellow is probably what I would be going with.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you already eyed a few cards you would like to include in your deck?
Yes, and most of them are like common and uncommon, so it's not going to be too expensive. With of course value being a factor in every card game, but I am excited for Shin Hati as a second round play. I might even try adding that legendary 5 cost cards, which upon defeat deals damage divided to
Oh yeah,
number of units. That I think Palpatine and maybe a Throne Yellow is one of the few decks that can make it work.
yeah,
Probably.
So the Pergil King sounds interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's 8 cost legendary.
Yeah.
So there are a few cards that I have my eye on for updating my Palpatine deck.
Yeah, I really like the card you talked about was I think it's from the first High Republic novel. I really like that they're bringing the High Republic era into the game already. Um, I think it's like the Disaster Shrapnel or something like that. It's from that big crash in that first book,
Yeah,
and I think that's such a rich lore to pull from. There's been so much published in that era now, so that's a really cool thing that they're bringing in already. So there's lots to pull from there, and also we get to see things from the Knights of the Old Republic, which
yeah,
is, I guess, just legends, but still pretty cool.
yeah. And on the topic of the set 4 meta, Victor, you have looked a little bit extra on the Scandinavian PQ scene.
Yeah, all the basically all the competitive events in Scandinavia has been sort of my focus now as I'm working on the player rankings for this set and trying to tally everything up. And when I did, I saw a pretty consistent trend across all competitive events in the Nordic countries, and that is that a lot fewer players travel within the Scandinavian countries for this meta compared to the last meta. So you will have your locals players, but not always even that if it doesn't line up. Because it's not true to say that don't travel, but we're not traveling to events in Scandinavia. there's been a lot of people traveling to the big SQs and RQs outside of Scandinavia, and
Yeah.
I think that made it so that people aren't doesn't feel that they can or want to travel to bigger events in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
And this is really interesting. I wonder if that's going to keep up for this fifth meta, because there will only really be one big event with the Galactics, and
Yeah.
that's right in the beginning of the meta. And then we will have all the PQs and all the store showdowns and everything. So I'm really curious to see what the pattern's going to be, because for set three we had the big PQs in Copenhagen and Stockholm. They were 50 or more players, and lots of people travel to those from
Yeah.
other countries and from other regions. Whereas for set four, we only had 30-ish players for each of those two. Not even the Danish players showed up in X. What's that called?
Ecast or something.
Icast. Yeah, and same thing from the Stockholm meta. Did some of the top players didn't even go to the Stockholm showdown?
Yeah.
That's in your own town. For Moss, most of the Norwegian meta seem to have showed up, but it was a slight downtrend. The Oslo PQ at Midgard Games had 35 players, whereas this one only pulled 33. So
Yeah.
even though there were a little bit of people traveling for it, and I believe most Oslo-based players showed up, there's a slight downtrend, and clearly not a lot of people travel to either of the Finnish of my games PQs, but the one player that did travel last set, Kevin, didn't travel this time, so he didn't win. And yeah, they were 25 players last time, and this time they were only 24,
Yeah.
but they did get a Finnish champion this time.
That's nice. I think there's no real reason to be concerned looking at these numbers, right? It's just observation that things are changing a little bit. We are now seeing bigger scenes where people might want to compete more, like the SQs and RQs. Before, the PQs were a really big thing, and we hadn't had any yet, and everybody was excited to start playing more seriously, competitively, and traveling for them as well. Um, so I feel like communities in general, from what I've heard, it's not like they're starting to fall apart. It's more life is happening. Maybe it's the season of the year, like a bit hectic before summer. People are traveling for the SQs and RQs. So yeah.
I agree. I don't think there's any reason to be too concerned at this point, but if people keep not traveling, if this set that doesn't have any SQ or RQs, if we're not getting a little bit of an uptrend at least, that there's something about that would be a little bit sad, because I think there's been such a great community when we have traveled. Like, we get to meet the Danish, the Norwegian, and the Finnish players. Well, not so much the Finnish players because they haven't traveled as much, but I would love for them to start traveling more,
Yeah.
and for us to go there. And I think what I like about the game is just this community of the
Yeah.
competitive, like you were describing it, Costas, like a very competitive minded group of people that are also super friendly.
Yeah.
That's what I've really liked, and I like those are the people that travel.
Yeah.
So those are the people that are most fun to interact with when you go to Norway, when you go to Copenhagen, when you go. I wish to go to Helsinki at some point to play there, and I think like having this Nordic scene is really cool. And we've had that for set 2 and 3. And I would personally feel a little bit sad if that fell apart, because we're only ever going to travel to the really big events, and they're just going to happen, what, twice a year for the sectors, right?
Not
I believe
sure.
so.
Have they
I think
announced
they're
any
going to have.
information?
I think they're going to have one for each season. Sorry, two sectors for each season. and one regional for each season. But I could be wrong. Could be that they're going to have 4 sectors and 2 regionals for each season as well. But either way, they're not going to happen that often.
Mm.
Whereas the PQs are going to happen for each set.
Yeah.
So the PQs are much more reliable way to actually meet each other.
Yeah.
But of course, it costs money. It takes a while. Scandinavia has actually big distances, so there
Yeah.
is a little bit of a travel to get places.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it, but I'd be sad.
Yeah. It seems like people are very excited about this new set, so we can just hope that the excitement will continue and actually incentivize people to go and compete.
I hope so. And it's the summer, like you said, it could be the season thing.
Yeah.
Like we're going into the summer now. People have some vacation days to take.
Yeah.
Maybe people can travel a little bit for this one. I really hope so. I really hope that the Malmö Game Week is going to be as big or even bigger than last time.
Yes.
That is that's still the largest tournament in Scandinavia. They pulled 76 players last time, and if we can, start closing in on 100 or so players, that would be
Oh yeah.
amazing.
The goal would be to get over the 128 mark.
Yeah.
Because then by official tournament guidelines, there would be a top 16 cut. I think we will do a top 16 cut regardless because it's planned to be a 2-day event. But
Yeah.
it would still be amazing to reach that number of players.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think that this set is going to be very exciting for many Star Wars fans because we are seeing a lot of Force users, Jedi, Sith, whereas this set, for example, it was very based on vehicles,
Yeah.
which is fine for us, like competitive players or for people who are into the game for the game. But for people who are also into the franchise, or maybe a little more into the franchise than the game itself, seeing more characters, more faces instead of vehicles will, I think it might get some more attention.
Yeah.
I do believe a lot more people are attracted to the idea of playing I don't know, Darth Revan character than playing a Victor leader. Like there's a smaller subset of Star Wars fans that really get off on Victor leader.
Yeah. All right. It seems like we have reached the 1 hour mark, so might be time to segue to the end. But I do want to say, if you are not in the Discord, join because Marcus, he has actually posted some teaser about Malmö Game Week there. In a small video, he announced the price, how do you call it, the total, the summed price on all the Game Genic goodies, the boosters, the carb nuts, whatever. And it's crazy to announce that the Malmö Game Week will have a total price support of 10,000 euros. That's wild. That has to be a first,
That's
right?
absolutely wild. That's absolutely wild. It's Dave Marcus Monster Macan, who is the main TO of the event, has started cooperating with us through our. So they're doing a lot of their official communication through the Nordic Takedown server, Discord server. So that's the Discord server to go to if you want information for this.
Yeah, so really, really cool. I don't know, have we even heard about 10K in the US? Like, can Europe finally beat the US in price support?
Beatle.
Yeah.
Beatle was something like that, or even a little bit more, maybe. But that's the only event I can think of from the top of my head.
Yeah.
But even coming close to the same price support as the US is a big accomplishment because if you compare the number of events that are running in the US to the European ones, then they are running a lot more large scale events. I was playing a guy on Carabas that told me, "Oh, are you going to play in a PQ?" I'm like, "We only get one PQ in this country," and then he was. Oh, I must have missed 5 or 6 just because I was lazy and I took part in another 6.
Yeah. No,
So,
I think the US has a lot of easier ways to do things because of everyone speaking the same language.
Yeah.
So you have this huge population, even though they're a little bit spread out, they all speak the same language, they all share the same cultures. It's really easy for people to
Yeah.
get places, and they have the same infrastructure. Which
Exactly.
I mean, distances down in Europe are really close, but French and German people, there's a barrier there.
Yeah.
It's just going to be there.
Yeah. But regardless of that, it's really nice when we come together. So even though you might not speak the language of your neighbor, go and say hi.
You
And
should.
on
You
that
should.
note, thanks a lot, Kostas, for joining the podcast tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, of course, Victor, for co hosting.
My pleasure.
And listener, thank you for listening. If you made it all to the end, write something in the Discord, right? What's a funny emoji? A nice emoji. This is the nice episode.
Yeah.
But since I can't come up with a nice emoji, I would just have to say, may the force be with you,
Would have
and thanks for listening.